Psst. Psst. I got something to tell you. Welcome to the OC, bitch.
What you say?
I told you that it's time to start the show.
That you only meant well.
Yeah, the show's gonna do
Of
well.
course you did. What you say?
I said let's go.
That it's all for the best.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like the best podcast.
What you say?
God, do I have to keep repeating myself?
Just what we need. You decided this.
Hold up, I
What
thought we
you
both
say?
decided to do this.
What did she say?
I said let's start the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to What You Say, an OC podcast. My name is Elise Daly.
And I'm Scott Daly.
And together,
we're the Dailies. Yes, this is the weekly podcast where each and every week we sneak into my dad's luxury automobile dealership to discuss the hit 2000s teen drama, The OC. This week on the show, we are covering Season 1, Episode 12, The Secret.
So Scott, we can't talk about it.
Well, we
can't because it's a secret.
But we have to.
We can't say anything about it,
But
Scott.
the entire point of the episode is that secrets
Then people are going to think that we're not trustworthy.
are bad.
But we're trustworthy people, aren't
But
we?
secrets are bad is what the...
Secrets are no fun
Secrets are bad.
unless you are a part of one.
Okay. Where is that from?
That's from childhood.
Is this from just childhood?
Did nobody ever say that to you, Scott?
No, because we didn't believe in secrets.
Oh my gosh.
So,
We always would say that.
of course, because you are a secret keeper.
Yeah, I can keep a secret.
Yeah, it's bad, though.
Why?
The point of this episode is that secrets are bad.
Are they?
Yes.
They
Yes.
can be. They don't have to
They
be.
hurt people.
They could.
You keep a secret from people in order to
Sometimes it's to protect them.
It's like you didn't even watch the episode.
It's like you haven't been living life, Scott.
Okay, can we move on to the roses and
Yes,
thornies,
we
please?
We can, Scott. So this is the part of the podcast where Scott and I look back.
You did the thing where you didn't pause enough to give me time to put the music in.
Pause here.
Every rose has its thorn,
Has its thorn.
just like every night has its dawn.
Dawn, dawn, dawn.
Every cowboy sings a sad song. Every rose has its thorn. Yeah. Jesus.
Okay, this is the part of the podcast where Scott and I look back on the last week and we talk about the good, the bad, the rosies, and the thornies. And as always, we're going to start with the bad.
Ooh, and it's
So Scott, it's you.
I feel like you need to go first though, because my thorn is just stupid and immaterial, but your thorn is big. So you go first.
yeah.
We talked about this
We
last
talked
week.
about it last week, and I'm working my way through it. But we had last week after we thought that we might have had just an infection. Our dog didn't just have an infection.
She did not.
And so on Wednesday morning, we had to put down our dog. And
Yes.
So it's been not fun.
So that is definitely the worst thing that's happened to us in this past week. We thank everyone, who listens, members of our community, everyone on Twitter. Everyone's been real awesome to us, especially after we talked about this last week. It's just everyone was so sweet and so nice to us, and we really, really appreciate that. Appreciate our friends and family, too. I don't know if they listen to this, but if they do, we appreciate you guys. It's always tough to lose a pet. Always. And we're doing okay. There's a big hole in this house, but we're doing okay. That's definitely your thorn.
Yeah.
I didn't want us
I
to...
think it's yours too.
Well, it is definitely my thorn as well. Like, I didn't just want to, piggyback on your thing, though. So I'm just gonna say it's my thorn too. Yeah, it's definitely it sucks. It really sucks. We're both still pretty sad, but we got a cool little stone. Elise,
that's my Rosie.
oh, sorry. Go ahead, do your Rosie.
We were trying to think of ways that we could, because we're gonna get the ashes for our dog, and we're gonna go. And what I wanted to do is go to all the different places that Maggie and I live together, and we're gonna scatter some in all those different places. But we're not in our forever home, which means we probably won't get to have the actual Maggie there, which is really sad to me. So we got a couple things this past week in order to be able to take Maggie. So we got a little stone that's really cool, and we have an ornament that we're going to put on our tree. It's going to be great.
And these are both things from Etsy, right? We found some stuff on Etsy, and it's just like, the stone came in the mail today, and
It's
I
perfect.
loved it. It's exactly what we wanted. It wasn't that expensive. If anyone's curious about any of this stuff, we can give you the links to all that because it was really great. Yeah, I mean, I've never been like we've had animals before, right? And we both had animals that died, and like I've never been like the type of person who wants to like keep the ashes in an urn or a box on the mantle or anything. That's not the type of person I am. But this is a kind of way just to remember the memory of the dog, in just a fun way. And I think it's gonna go on our fireplace for now, and then maybe eventually somewhere else. But it's a good rose.
I think so. What's your rose?
My rose is a television show. Obviously, I'm very happy about the stuff we bought as well. I don't want to take anything away, but in the past week, we watched a lot of TV because we were looking for things to distract ourselves from all the rough, difficult emotions we were dealing with. And one of the TV shows we watched was a show called Looking for Alaska. This is a show on Hulu. It was done by Josh Schwartz, the creator of The OC. He is the showrunner on the show, and it is based on the John Green. Tom Green is the comedian. Thank you. The John Green novel of the same name, Looking for Alaska. This is actually John Green's first novel. And this show has been a long gestating thing. Apparently, like they optioned the film the same year the book came out, which was in 2005. And it has taken 14 years for this book to get made into something, and it ends up as a limited series on Hulu. I think it's 8 episodes long. You know, in a lot of ways, I think John Green is really responsible for, not entirely, but a lot of the resurgence of a certain kind of young adult literature. I mean, this book was pretty popular, and then he like broke mainstream with The Fault in Our Stars, which is his biggest book by far. So like there's part of the show that feels very much like we've seen all this before, because it is a high school drama. A kid heads to like a private boarding school in Alabama because he's like looking for his great adventure, and meets a eclectic cast of kids, including Alaska, which is a woman that he's in love with. But there's something like so pure and like wholesome and well done and fascinating about this show. I mean, first of all, it is a very emotional, very sad show.
You probably shouldn't be watching it when your dog's dying.
Yeah, when your dog is at death's door, watching it is probably a bad idea. But I think that made me appreciate it more because I was in a very vulnerable emotional state, and it made the emotions that the show was playing on hit me all the harder. The performances are all great. These are all kids that I've never seen before.
Aside from one.
Who?
I can't even think of his name. It's the main guy.
Oh, yeah. Wait, the main guy?
Yeah, the blonde guy.
What was he in?
All the Money in the World.
Oh, well, okay. He's a bit tiny part in a movie that I saw 2 years ago that I haven't really thought of. Yeah, so they're not like super well-known actors. It's very well acted. I think it's very well written. And yeah, I mean, it is certainly dated by 2019 standards because this is something that was kind of copied and done to death in the years following John Green's works. But I don't know. There's something I just really appreciate about it. I think the writing is very sharp. I think the direction is very, very good. I like Josh Schwartz, as the show is showing me, so I like the work he does. And I don't know.
You should watch Heart of Dixie.
I don't want to watch Heart of Dixie. I've watched part of Dixie because I dated girls that watched Heart of Dixie. I don't want to watch that show anymore. I don't think that's that good of a show.
I like Heart of Dixie.
I know.
I think he's best at the teenage dramas.
Yeah. I think that's where he lies. So the funniest thing about John Green, though, is Matt hates John Green, like irrationally hates him. I don't think he really hates him, but we had a joke about how Matt hates him. So anytime I see John Green do anything, I send it to Matt and I'll be like, this fucker made a good TV show. And Matt's like, damn it. It's really great. So that's Looking for Alaska. It's on Hulu right now. I would give it a shot if you're into that kind of teen drama thing. I mean, there are parts.
You might be if you're listening to this.
Well, and there are parts like it's interesting because like Alaska is definitely the manic pixie dream girl type of stereotype. Well, I don't know if she's outgoing enough. She definitely falls into this archetype of particular girl that got very popular around this time.
Yeah.
Like and there's parts of her as a 34-year-old man that I look at and say, ugh, this is so pretentious and annoying. But like, I think the great thing that the show does is kind of show you that there's a reason behind all this stuff. She's more than just the facade of fascinating, interesting women type thing she's putting on.
Women can be fascinating and interesting.
I know, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is like a very specific kind of archetype.
I know what you mean.
And so it's treading in very walked waters, but I don't know. I liked it. Looking for Alaska. That's my rose. It's one of the best things I watched, besides Watchmen, which we'll talk about maybe another time.
Yeah.
But that is
Not
our
today.
Rosies and Thornies. So let's get into the episode proper and let's talk about episode 12 of season 1.
Yes, let's do.
The Secret. As I just said, The Secret is the 12th episode of season 1 of The OC. It was written by Josh Schwartz and Alan Heinberg and directed by a man called James Marshall. James Marshall will come back and direct one more episode of season 1 a little bit later in the season and then depart the show, never to be seen again. He's got some interesting directorial flourishes, which I think we'll talk about a little bit this week.
Oh, yeah, he definitely does.
The episode aired on November 26th, 2003. All right, Elise, why don't you hit me with that excellent episode summary?
So in this episode, Ryan learns more about Luke when they're paired for a school science project,
It's not science.
which is that Luke isn't the macho tough guy he puts out to his friends, but he is quite a nice person with a perfect home life. But things take a sudden turn when Ryan and Luke stumble upon a secret of Luke's father's homosexuality. The next day, the news of Luke's father is the talk of the whole school and the town, resulting in negative reactions to Luke from his friends, in which he blames Ryan, who denies telling anyone about his father being gay. Meanwhile, Kristen continues to avoid Jimmy over their disastrous Thanksgiving dinner encounter, while Sandy has some advice for Jimmy over his legal problems, which doesn't set well with Julie over selling their house to pay off the money he lost.
How was that summary there, Elise?
It's really hard to read things when your brain is trying to correct them and you know that they're wrong. It's really difficult.
That was so wrong. It was so wrong. What disastrous Thanksgiving dinner encounter with Julie and Kirsten are we talking about here?
Just because students sit at a table doesn't mean that it's lab, like a science class.
It was history class. They were doing a project on the Spanish Inquisition.
I mean, maybe there's some chemistry involved in that.
I hate it.
Maybe there is.
So what were your overall thoughts on this episode?
Definitely biology.
So what were your overall thoughts on this episode?
This is an episode that I really liked because I feel like the entire season before this, you had little glimpses of who Luke is and why he is the way that he is. And at first, you didn't like him. And you weren't supposed to like him. And then you thought, should I like him? Could I like him? And now I think it's to the point where, this is the turning point for Luke to where he could be a good guy. And that's why I really enjoy this episode, is because it shows a different side to someone who you probably had thought would never be able to have a heart.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you.
At least the beginnings of it.
I do think it's not like he had a secret. It's not like Luke had a secret about his home life.
No.
He learns a secret about his father. So it's not like his father being gay,
but it is a secret
being
that
a closeted gay person
is
justifies
nice.
Luke being a dick.
No.
Which certainly doesn't.
But I think his parents and his family treat the boys in a very specific way. Like you saw that in how his brothers interacted together.
I kind of disagree with the summary saying he had a perfect home life. I think this paints a picture of a home life that is very on the surface perfect, right? You have the mother, the father. He's a successful businessman. She's the stay home mother. He's got 2 little brothers. It's on the surface perfect, with obviously some stuff rumbling underneath. I'm going to be honest with you. 2003, I hear a show on basic cable is doing, or not even basic cable, on network television is doing a plot line where a character is gay, I'm immediately grimacing because I'm terrified of what they're going to do, and how bad this is going to look and how badly aged it's going to look. And the one absolute compliment I can give this show is that it's way better than it has any right to be for a 2003 show. There are still some cringy moments in here where some of the things they say and some of the jokes they make aren't great, but it's pretty good. Like, I think most of the people saying hurtful homophobic things in this episode are people that the show paints clearly as bad and wrong and should not be supported. And I agree. I think that's good. I think it's good. And we'll get into that as we go. So fairly impressed. I mean, literally when the scene in the dealership happens, my initial reaction was, oh no,
we're not going to go here.
We're going to have to talk about this episode and it's going to be really awkward. But yeah, it turned out okay. So
Scott, we opened the episode and there's a song that's playing in the background.
Yeah.
We Used to Be Friends, which Scott has recognized because it's the intro theme song to 2004's Veronica Mars that came out a year after this season of the OC.
Yeah, and this song will play 3 times throughout the course of this episode. And it's a very memorable song. If you've watched Veronica Mars. You finished?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess they paid good money for this song and they wanted to play it multiple times because 3 times throughout this episode this song plays. And I like to think, you're right, this is a year almost to the date before Veronica Mars first premieres. And I like to think Rob Thomas was watching the OC while he's working on Veronica Mars. And he's like, we needed a theme song intro. And I think this is the one. And this is why he picked it.
I think it's happened.
I have no actual evidence to support that, but that's what I think.
So Seth, he's dancing down the halls in his bathrobe, and he's got the groove to the music going on, and this is where we actually see what the majority of their house looks like. It's very contained for the other shots, just to primarily the kitchen, the pool house, and the living room.
The living room, yeah.
But I mean, you see the amount of doors that are in these hallways.
This is the first time that I really felt like this was a mansion, right? I mean, it obviously is. We've seen the exterior. We've seen how big this house looks. But you're right. Every shot, I mean, obviously because they have limited sets and they don't want to build a whole mansion, all this stuff. But yeah, this hallway Seth is walking down is a long hallway. It's a big hallway with like 10 doors off the side of it. And I was like, wow. I mean, it had never really occurred to me just how big this house is, which again makes me wonder why Ryan is staying in the pool house. They have to have an extra bedroom in this house. They have to. There's no way they don't have an extra bedroom in this house.
But just think about the amount of time that they spend on the second floor as opposed to the kitchen. He's closer in the pool house.
You're right. I mean, the reason is because it's a cool set and it allows Ryan to do things like have sex with his girlfriend in the house.
Which they have not had yet.
Well, we don't.
They have not had yet. Scott, we find out though, so we're talking about Ryan. We learned last episode, Ryan's funny now.
Is he?
Yeah, he has had that Cohen sarcastic humor and just the little jokes rub off on him in the past 11 episodes. He's becoming more Cohen.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And because Seth is, he's sick. He doesn't want to go to school. And Ryan just realizes very quickly that it's, he just has the summer flu and maybe he needs some antibiotics.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan basically picks up immediately that Seth is faking, which we know because we see the transition from him dancing to him faking sick. He doesn't want to go in. He doesn't want to confront his problems. And Ryan calls him out on it.
Confront them he shall.
But, I mean, the Seth at the beginning of this episode, not good look. Not only is he afraid of confronting the two of them, he's also refusing to even take responsibility. He calls himself the victim in this process. These two women threw themselves at him and he is the victim. He did nothing wrong. And it's not a good look. Not a good look for our boy. I want to like Seth, and he's been quite a dick lately.
Well, he's got to get his mannerisms from somewhere of his wanting to avoid things. And we find out that that's because he is the son of Kirsten. And Kirsten, you know, she had a little too much to drink on Thanksgiving.
She had 2 glasses.
And passed out. And she had some margaritas too.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to go to Yoga Lattes.
Yoga Lattes.
Because she's convinced that Julie is going to have told all of the noopsies about her drinking.
Yoga Lattes.
Yoga Lattes.
Yoga Lattes.
Yoga Lattes is very 2000s.
Yoga Lattes. They say Yoga Lattes like 15 times.
Because Sandy thinks it's funny to say Yoga Lattes.
It is very funny to say Yoga Lattes. I am once again on Team Sandy.
Yoga Lattes?
Yoga Lattes.
Yeah, you spelled it wrong the first time, but then you got it right.
Be nice to me.
It's a mix of what 2 workouts?
Yoga and Pilates.
I'm so proud of you.
Really? It's pretty obvious.
Sometimes I wonder.
So then we go
about
to
you.
that good old intro music, which is not We Used to Be Friends, but rather
California, here we come.
it's just a sad version you just did there.
Sorry.
It's not a very energetic version of the song at all.
So we come back from a commercial break to see, oh my gosh, Ryan and Marissa go to school?
Yeah, they're in class.
What?
That's new.
No, they learn at this school?
No,
I don't
It's just a place to
know.
talk when Ryan's not working at the Crab Shack.
Okay. Which, yeah, still not working there.
Yeah, so the teacher is assigning everyone a group project, and he's putting everyone into teams, and Ryan gets teamed up with...
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
It's Luke! And they get to do a project on the Spanish Inquisition. Which
And
I
you know
thought-
why?
Why?
Okay, so insight to a teacher. If someone comes up and they ask to be partners, and these 2 people are not necessarily the best of friends, but definitely if it's in a potential, you could see that this is a romantic relationship that could be coming about. The teacher has 2 options. She or he either says no and puts people with partners that he or she knows that they will not like. Or you could do the opposite. And if you're a teacher and you're in those, early tweens or something, you could just think about, who would be cute couples in class? And you can just partner them up. But this high school teacher did what the high school teacher should do.
Yeah.
She said, this is a he. He said, you want to be partners? No, I'm not going to have you be partners.
Yeah, so it's all
I think
Marissa's fault.
Ryan, he doesn't get along with this kid, so I'm going to put them together so they can work it out and be friends.
It's all Marissa's fault. She said she emailed the teacher a week in advance to try to get them
too
partnered
pushy.
together.
Definitely wouldn't like
My
that.
favorite part about this, though, is she sends him a note, suggesting that they do the Crusades. And, she's sitting right next to him in class. And the note she sends him is folded over, and it has Ryan written on the top of it. As if, you're sitting just right on the side of your notebook.
It's hard to tell these days.
No,
He's been
it's
hit
not.
so many times in the head, he doesn't know.
That's
Paper,
very true.
mine, read, words. Sometimes it's hard. Then we realize that Sandy and Jimmy are, still friends so far. And Sandy's going to meet Jimmy at his place. And now he suddenly has until the 1st of January to make everything fine or he's going to go to jail.
Yes, they've brought back the Jimmy's legal problems plot again, just seemingly randomly. And suddenly he has a month to pay back the $6 million he owes, or he goes to jail. So...
But it is going to be okay for Jimmy because he's got an apartment and he doesn't have to be with Julie anymore.
Yeah, but he's got to pay $6 million in a month. And so the only way he can do this is sell the house, which I don't...
Or his organs.
I thought earlier in the show they made it very clear that even by selling the house and liquidating every single asset they owned, they still would not come close to the $6 million.
Did make that clear.
$6 million that he owed.
You were true.
But now they're just like, we'll just sell the house and your money problems are gone. So that's the plot line we're going to be dealing with Jimmy in this episode.
Yeah, the writers didn't clearly follow that storyline. They definitely forgot some of the things that were going on.
They definitely pick up and put down storylines at their leisure, right? It's like, we don't want to deal with this for the next few weeks, so we're just going to pretend like it's not a problem.
Which is what happens when you have 22
22?
22 episodes in a season.
Oh, no, 27. This
Oh, yeah,
season
I thought
is
it was
27.
27.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
season is 20.
27 episodes long.
The network ordered extra episodes, and they were like,
27.
It's a lot of TV. Anyway, then we go back to high school, where Summer and Anna bump into each other in the bathroom, and they bond over their shared hatred of Seth Cohen. And floss, I guess.
You know, floss is a very important thing. I learned a lot from Anna about this episode, and I was very excited to go and floss my teeth later that evening.
But I feel like, was this episode sponsored by the Dental Association? Because it's just this really weird part where they're like Anna's flossing and Summer's like, you're like flossing at school. And Anna's like, yeah, do you know how much bacteria gets in between your teeth after lunch but before dinner?
Hey, Scott.
What?
When's the last time you flossed?
I don't remember.
Do you know how much bacteria is in your mouth right now?
7.
Did you use mouthwash last night or this morning?
I did.
Both times?
Yeah.
Full 30 seconds?
Uh-huh. Are you going to continue to lecture my dental habits on the podcast?
I'm not lecturing. I'm just asking questions.
You're getting there.
Do continue.
So, yeah, they bond, and Anna gives this beautiful line that says, I couldn't possibly be interested in someone who treats women that way. And so the two of them are now friends. Yeah.
Move.
Great
way
job.
to go,
I agree
Anna.
with you, Anna. Of course, Seth doesn't like this at all. They're teaming up against him. He doesn't like it, but he still is refusing to apologize to either of them. So I'm glad that we're going to talk more about these girls being friends, because I think that's great. But a little bit later in the show.
Hey, Scott.
What?
Yoga Lattes.
Yoga Lattes.
Yoga Lattes.
Kirsten shows up at her Yoga Lattes class, and of course, Julie Cooper has indeed told all the noopsies about Kirsten's drinking, because
She wants
Julie
attention.
Cooper. Yeah, and it gets
Whatever I can do to keep people focused on me, even if it means sharing rumors and things that are blown out of proportion. Not that they're false. They're just probably exaggerated a little bit too much.
To be fair to Julie Cooper,
Yes.
Kirsten's family's riding her pretty hard about this Thanksgiving drunk session as well, because they say, oh, she's probably still hungover from her drinking session. Presumably it's Monday after Thanksgiving at this point. So it's been 4 days and she's still hungover from her drinking. So her family's already giving her a hard time for this. So of course Julie Cooper is going to do the same thing.
Because Julie is family now.
If only there was a way for Julie
Step
Cooper
monster.
and Kirsten Cohen to bond as well over some shared dislike of someone. Maybe that'll happen later. I don't know.
Interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan shows up to Luke's house because they're working on the project together. And that's where we see that Luke basically has a perfect life. In the sense that on the outside, everything is pretty.
Mm-hmm.
He has a loving mother. He has a father who's involved. Who owns 3 car dealerships and wants to take his son to tailgate at a Notre Dame USC game.
Mm-hmm.
So he at least has a complete family.
Yeah.
In that sense.
And we learn,
seems to be supportive.
We learn a little bit later that it was all facade. We learn that Luke's dad is actually pretty absentee as a father. He goes on trips all the time and is probably part of his illicit affairs he's having because he's living this complete lie of a life. So the part about the scene I really liked is they're sitting in Luke's room and talking about the project. They're talking about what they can do. And Luke has all these ideas how to make the presentation really cool. And I'm jumping the gun about that so 2000s here, but listen to what he says about this presentation. I was thinking we could do a screen show on my PowerBook. Dad's got a film scanner at the office, color laserjet, PowerPoint. We could just pull some stuff here and then head over there. None of that makes any sense, what he just said there. So obviously they're going to do a PowerPoint presentation, right? That's it. They're just going to do a PowerPoint presentation. And his dad has a scanner to scan stuff into the internet. But why do they need, what does a color laserjet printer have to do with it? So
let's print the pictures and post them to a board.
Why not just go to your dad's, why print them? If you're going to print them to scan them somewhere else.
It's Luke.
It's done.
He's not the
why do you need a
brightest bulb in the
scanner
box.
and a printer that's transforming from digital to physical back to digital for no Luke, you don't know what you're talking about.
It's true. He's not gonna go very far in the world.
This guy. It's like the type of scene where like like the writer was just like, just put some fancy sounding tech jargon in here, and what they came up with was screen show on my PowerBook, color laser jet, PowerPoint. Fuck yeah, PowerPoint. I'm so badass with my PowerPoint prez.
I mean, PowerPoints are still pretty legit these days.
No, don't do that.
The goal now is it's less words, more pictures. It's all about the explanation.
Nobody
and the
wants to
presentation.
read anymore, Elise.
No, they don't. They just want to listen.
Yeah.
And be
And they want to see pictures. And you know why it's good? Because Luke's dad got that film scanner.
Yeah, he does.
I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, he does. He's scanning some films.
So anyway, in the meantime, Jimmy calls Julie to continue our last scene and basically tells her, look, I got to save the house. I got to sell the house. She basically says, no, you're not selling the house. Apparently the house is in both of their names, so he can't sell it without a permission. And he basically says,
noted, Julie. Thank you.
If we don't sell, I could go to jail. And Julie's response is, maybe you deserve to go to jail. And
maybe he does.
Maybe he does.
Good point there, Julie.
He did defraud a lot of people of their money.
Score 1, Julie. 0, Jimmy.
So the thing that I thought was really interesting about this scene, Elise, is that Jimmy Cooper is not wearing shoes. And normally I wouldn't think that...
Why is this interesting to you? You're not wearing shoes either.
Yes, I know. But like the camera, like he's in full business well, he's not in business casual. He's wearing like chinos and a button down.
Mm-hmm.
But the shot, this is our director doing his weird flourishes. The shot starts on his shoes. The scene opens on Jimmy's bare feet and then pans up to the rest of him,
well, you know
almost as if to emphasize the fact that he's not wearing shoes. And I find that very interesting. Are they maybe trying to say like, this guy's so fucking broke, he can't even afford the shoes on his feet no more?
I think that's exactly what they're saying.
That's very clever language there.
It is. It's like that PowerPoint,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's all image, no words.
There you go. The Jimmy PowerPoint would be no shoes, screw cap wine, still affords an apartment, manages, still rich enough to be able to pay $6 million back in the span of a month.
Coffin.
Wait, what? Is he dying?
Yeah, you know, I'm sure he will eventually.
I'm sure he will eventually. Yes.
Everyone does.
On a long enough timeline, everyone is going to die.
Yeah.
So that's not a very insightful commentary.
You know. So Ryan and Luke, they're working on that PowerPoint, getting those screen show laser jet picture things going on. And the only place to do that is to go to Dad's dealership and look at fancy cars. So Luke's dad shows up with his business partner, Gus. Who is not just his business partner.
Nope.
We see them making out pretty hardcore at that dealership.
They're going at it, those two.
They are.
And I can't help but remember an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer when two characters are gay and start making out. And back in 2001, I believe that was, the camera turns away from them because the network didn't want to show two same-sex people kissing. If there's a weird choppy cut here, it's because Elise just blatantly spoiled a big part of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and now I have to cut it. So anyway.
Did you really cut out when I talked about...
Huh?
Did you really cut out when I talked about... Are you going to cut that out?
I am.
Oh, wow.
Because I know for a fact that there's one person listening to the show that has not gotten to that part in Buffy yet.
Man,
and they will know exactly... They will
love Scott.
They will know exactly which character
right
you're talking about, and I'm not going to do that to them.
That's nice of you.
The point is...
I did it.
Yeah, you just blatantly just don't even care.
Thought about doing it again as another joke, but I'm not going to.
The point is that look at how far we've come in 2 years. That network TV completely fine showing these two dudes make out.
Yeah, it's true.
And of course, Luke is horrified. And like I said at the top, my initial reaction to this was, oh no, this is where they're going. I'm very afraid the show is going to bungle this, and we'll see what they do later. But in this moment, Luke is shocked and horrified that his dad is not making out with his mother. And this is one of those moments in the show. You have to, if you've watched the show or it's on Hulu. Go back and watch the scene and look at what the director does with the camera. So the camera is sitting on Luke's face and he's shocked, and it's like a close up on the shock, and then it does this like really super aggressive like whip pan and push in on Ryan. Like,
It does.
like really hardcore. Like it just like, and it's like, I don't know why it's doing that, because like, why, like, this is not an important scene for Ryan. This is a revelatory moment for Luke. This has nothing to do with Ryan. He's just there. He's just kind of this awkward third wheel to the situation. Yeah. And it's just the weirdest directorial choice, and I don't understand why they did it at all.
I don't get it either.
Anyway, the scene ends with Luke making Ryan promise to not tell anyone about this secret.
And anyone is not the name of his girlfriend. So he can tell Marissa because she's not named anyone.
Yeah. Marissa
and
basically
tell her he does.
She basically guilts him into revealing a secret. She can tell he's hiding something because he's very bad at pretending like nothing's wrong. And she guilts him into it, and he tells her. I want to talk to you about this a little bit, because the conclusion of this episode, basically at the end, at least their part in this episode, is that you tell your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, spouse, basically everything, right? How do you feel about that? Are there certain things that you learn that other people ask you to keep secret that you should keep from your spouse? If it doesn't directly involve them. Obviously, if it's like, I'm not talking about keeping the Jimmy kiss from Sandy. Obviously, that's wrong. But like, if someone says to you, please don't tell anyone, does that include your spouse?
Depends on what it is.
So what do you mean by that? What is a thing that yes, you would versus a thing that no, you'd tell me right away?
My sister says, I don't know, I'm coming into town to surprise the parents this weekend. Don't tell anyone. Hey, Scott, Mary's coming into town. She's going to surprise my parents. Let's try and figure out a way to see her. Like, that's fine. I don't know. What's something I shouldn't tell you?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I'm asking the question.
I mean, I'm sure there's something where it's
okay. Let me reframe. Let
personal.
me reframe this. This secret. You find out. You witness something about your close friend's parent that he wants you to keep secret. Would you tell me?
Are we married, or have we been dating as long as Ryan and Marissa have?
I don't care. Interpret the question any way you want. I'm posing the question.
I don't know.
Okay. Let's move on.
Well, the deal is you're thinking about comparing you and I's relationship, where we're married, we've been married for 4 years, and so we have a level of trust and confidence in each other, versus a high school relationship that is not built to last. And so there's not a level of trust, you know?
Yeah, but that's what that's what the episode is about. So I was just trying to frame.
Yeah. Well, I would be more likely to tell you something, right? Because I feel like I can trust you, and I know that if I needed to talk to you about something that I could, but I would not have suggested Ryan tell Marissa that. I think that was a poor move.
Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott?
Huh?
What do you think?
I think that most people in serious relationships tell their spouse just about everything. And like, it's kind of I make an assumption when I tell someone something, that if they are married or in a long-term relationship, that the person that they're with is probably going to know it as well. Unless the command is specific, don't even tell your wife, don't even tell your girlfriend. I think most of those people, I make the assumption that it's one and the same. That is how I live my life. I basically tell you everything. I don't really have any secrets I keep from you. So,
well, I don't think I have any secrets from you either.
Yeah, but I mean, never mind. Let's just move on.
What?
Nothing.
You're frustrated with me?
No.
Yes. I'm not giving you the answer you wanted.
Well, you just like, said, I don't know, for like 60 seconds. So
But I gave you an answer.
eventually.
Yeah. It's always on a case by case basis.
Okay.
Scott. That's the issue. Yes. And so while we have an issue with that, Seth has an issue as well. Seth doesn't know Anna, Summer, Anna. I don't know, but at least he recognizes that they have teamed up, Summer and Anna. And that's the bigger issue, is that these two people that he was trying to decide in between, that he just completely had a horrible mishap over Thanksgiving. Now they're partners in crime, Scott. It's like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader are teaming up to defeat the Emperor. But Scott,
What?
didn't they do that?
Well, yeah, but that's his point, though. Like, Summer and Anna have teamed up and bonded on their shared hate. So that's literally what...
Seth is the Emperor.
Yeah. Which is the closest he gets to acknowledging that he's actually the bad guy in this.
Sometimes it just takes those metaphors.
I do like that this is one of those moments, and we've talked about these throughout the show, but this is one of those moments where the writers are like sitting there in the writer's room and they're like, have we reminded the audience that Seth's the nerd in the past 30 minutes? Because if not, we've got to do a nerdy reference to remind everyone that Seth's a nerd. Magic cards, Princess Mononoke, Star Wars reference.
Star Wars is cool.
Not in 2003, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Why not? Maybe I grew up in a household that always loved it, so we always thought it was cool.
Yeah, you're a bunch of nerds.
No, we're not. We're really cool. Scott, we had breakfast in the morning, breakfast club with me and my friends before school, like these people.
I'm sorry, what?
We had breakfast together. I told you this a couple weeks ago. I said we went to go to breakfast.
I'm sorry. Hold up. Time out.
What?
Your explanation for why you are cool, actually, is you ate breakfast in the morning.
No, it's just one of the many things that made us
But
cool.
that was the first thing you reached for. So it's,
because we'd already talked about it. It's an establishing factor in previous weeks.
Excuse me, I'm not a nerd. I ate a sandwich once. Boom.
Yep, it's true.
Countered.
I eat food.
Anyway, they bump into Luke, who not handling the revelation of his father well.
No,
he's an
he's
asshole
not.
to all of them. He calls Seth a queer, which is one of the hurtful words that they use in this show. I'm not even going to say the other one because I don't say that word. I think it's terrible. But so he's not dealing with this well. And again, I think the important part of this is that his reaction here is not painted as an acceptable behavior, right?
Right.
Like that. The show is, I think, very clear in regards to the homophobic tendencies that are happening around this secret
Right.
being exposed are bad.
Yes.
Bad. And that's good. That's good.
True. So Seth attempts to sit next to Anna in the library, and she says no. She rejects him, and she sits next to Summer. They're still friends. They're building relationships.
Yeah. And look what we see in this moment. Remember a few weeks ago when we talked about how these two characters were really mean to each other and very hurtful, and I was mad at Anna for like insulting Summer's intelligence? What do we see here?
Tells Summer that she's smart.
Yeah.
And we see these ladies that have been so mean to each other finally treat each other like the human beings that they are.
It's almost as if, Elise, that Seth Cohen brings out the worst in both of these women.
No, Cohen brings out the best.
I think we have seen the exact opposite so far.
But we have seen Summer into her new person that we acknowledge is better.
Okay,
than
so
the
let's
beginning.
say Seth Cohen brings out the worst in Anna.
That's a good point.
And that is why he's not going to pick her.
Oh,
Prediction.
okay. So the scene ends with one of Scott's other favorite things. The director cranks up the echo on the girls' audio.
Yeah, so they're laughing back and forth to each other, and then suddenly, like, the scene, like, it pushes in on Seth, and all of a sudden they're laughing is like really echoey, like it's in his head, and he covers his ears because he can't stand to hear it. And I'm just like, just apologize, you piece of shit. Come on, man.
Seth doesn't do anything wrong. No. Kirsten is talking about Julie's living situation and finds out that her dad has declined to help her in any way, causing the two of them, Caleb and Julie, to break up.
Oh, no.
Julie says Kirsten is free to tell her secret.
Yeah, so Julie told her about her drinking, so you're free to say that Caleb dumped me. And of course, Kirsten doesn't do that because Kirsten's solid.
Nice.
And meanwhile, while this is happening, someone rushes into the locker room and says, "You'll never guess what I just heard."
Ugh.
And then we break to commercial. But then we come back. And speaking of secrets breaking open, what is about to happen, Elise? The most dramatic moment in
this
the episode.
is the secret, Scott, that all season we've been worried about because we knew how much we loved this relationship that Sandy and Kirsten have, and that there was something that they were not sharing with
dark
each other.
cloud, if you will.
Yes.
Hovering.
A dark Jimmy.
Storm.
Yes.
Jimmy's a cloud?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Continue.
And so Sandy and Jimmy, they're all buddy and buddy now because Sandy's trying to help Jimmy, and Jimmy thinks maybe if I'm friends, he won't make me pay him. And so they're playing tennis, and then Jimmy just out of the blue decides to thank Sandy for being so kind to him,
Considering what?
the kiss with Kirsten. Because Jimmy didn't want there to be any secrets between us, but you know who doesn't matter about secrets between us?
Kirsten.
His wife.
Yeah, so this is a super awkward scene, and then he kind of dishes everything that happened. The kiss is like nothing. It meant nothing. It was my fault. I was stupid. It meant nothing to her. That's why she didn't tell. There's a recurring beat in this episode of people saying, "I didn't tell you because I knew it would hurt you," and then the reaction to that eventually being the person finds out anyway, and then it hurts even more. This is what happens again and again and again. It happens with Luke's father coming out. It happens with this secret here. It happens with what Seth did to both Anna and Summer. It is the main idea of this whole thing is that keeping secrets from people only causes them pain further down the line.
Secrets are no fun unless you are a part of one. Everyone needs to be part of the secret or else it's no fun.
Then it's not a secret.
Exactly.
So that saying still makes no sense.
It makes perfect sense.
No. So we go back to high school, and Luke's dad's scandal has made it to campus. Luke, of course, assumes that Ryan must have been the one to tell because he was the only one besides himself that knew, and Ryan turns around and does the same thing, assuming that it must have been Marissa that told because it was the only one that he told.
Because he has trust issues.
So there's no trust here at all, and there's a lot of arguing, and they both leave in a huff.
But we do learn about 2 other popular TV shows at this time.
This is stupid. So this is like they overhear 2 stupid college boys talking about Luke's dad and how he's gay. And what they say here is, you know what his favorite TV show is? Dawson's Crack. No. It's Everwoody. Which, I mean,
Both 2, the actual shows. Great shows. Dawson's Creek and Everwood.
But
love me some of those.
I mean, not only is it a homophobic joke, and again, I think the thing that the show does very well here is like that's not supposed to be funny. That's like those guys are being mean and assholes, and the show frames it that way, and that's really good. But also, that's just really bad humor. Like it's just a bad why do some of the worst people in the world are super bad at their jokes?
Because you have to be
Ricky
intelligent, Scott.
Ricky Gervais.
Part of good humor is a high intelligence.
Sure.
And so people that are not really funny, maybe
stupid.
It could be. I mean, I'm not saying one or the other.
There you go. I mean, if any of you out there have ever been told you don't have a sense of humor, my wife has just called you stupid.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm just saying for Ricky Gervais.
Oh, yeah. God,
we're on a first name basis, Scott.
I hate him. He's a jerk. And he stopped being funny a long time ago. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Captain Sandy Merica confronts Kirsten about her secret. And the big through line here is she's like, it meant nothing to me. I didn't tell you because it meant nothing. And his response is,
if it didn't, well, I don't know what it means, but I don't know the exact thing, but it's the perfect. If it doesn't mean anything, then you should have said something.
I wrote that down. You could have just read it.
If
it meant nothing, then why didn't you tell me?
That's right, Sandy. If it meant nothing, then why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
I feel so much better hearing from someone else. My eyes just kept jumping and I couldn't see. I went down to the next one. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
why would he not put what
Sandy is angry
says?
and indignant, and I mean he has a point to be. Like, this is a pretty big thing to lie to your spouse about. We've been like worried about this moment since it happened. Like, this was always going to come out eventually, because that's the thing about secrets in TV shows. They always come out, or else why write that into the story, right? Like,
That's a good point there, Scott.
it's always going to pay off in some way. So, like, it had to happen. Sandy, in this argument, mentions how Kirsten was suspicious of him and Rachel the whole time, and she's sitting on the secret, even though... but he doesn't tell her about Rachel coming on to him. And I don't know at this point if it's the show is just not treating this as a thing that's necessary to tell, because it doesn't frame this scene as if he's still keeping a secret while yelling at her about keeping secrets. And I think that's something that continues throughout the rest of this episode, that like there's no framing on Sandy as if he's hiding something still. So
Yeah.
I don't know if the show has just decided this is not something it feels he needs to tell her.
Well, if you're comparing to.
I mean, it is definitely worse to actually kiss someone versus to have someone come on to you and back away. But I feel like if you were like very suspicious of me and my coworker, and that coworker came on to me, I feel like that would be something that you would probably want to know about.
Yeah. Remember when I had to tell you about the one time that person came on to me?
Yeah. I don't like him.
You got really upset about that.
I didn't get that upset, did I?
You got real upset.
Wait, which person was this?
I'm talking about the one in New York.
Oh, well, that's different.
Oh, okay.
That was we were at a bar having drinks, and some guy followed you to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then waited outside the girl's bathroom to hit on you.
Yeah. I put him in his place.
You were wearing a wedding ring. We were celebrating our anniversary, and we were sitting together at the bar. Ooh, I was so mad.
I know.
Ooh, I was so mad. Yeah, well, that's different. That's not.
I was mad too, but
that's just creepy and not cool. Like,
no, I put him in his place.
Mm-hmm.
You would have been proud.
I was proud.
Yeah.
I was very proud.
Yeah.
I know you can take care of yourself. You don't need me to rush up and defend you.
No.
But that's, I wanted to leave. Well, I wanted to go over there and say something, and you made me not.
No.
Which is probably for the best.
I think it was.
It was like 5
It was
dudes.
4 against 1. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
I've got some muscle.
Anyway, we're this episode's going so long, we have to keep going.
Oh my gosh. Well, what are we going to talk about now? Seth's making a really...
let's just skip over
jokes.
this. This is the only part of the episode that I think ages it in 2003 because Seth is making...
Everyone's just making... Let's just summarize this into... Lots of people are making really...
tasteless, awful
jokes.
gay jokes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to Seth and Anna and Summer. Seth is approaching them and actually gives a pretty decent apology to both Summer and Anna, which then makes both of them flip that switch right back on Scott.
Yep.
And they both want some Seth again.
Yeah, and not only do they both want some Seth again, but they completely abandon the friendship they had with each other. And I don't know about you, but that makes me kind of sad. Like, do I want Seth to get together with Summer? Fuck yeah. Do I want their friendship to deteriorate because they can't be friends with each other while also liking the same guy? No, I don't want that. That's bad.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that they're doing that. It makes me upset.
But
What?
something good. Seth did learn about honesty in here. And so whenever Summer had asked him out on a date on Saturday, and then Anna wanted to go on a date on Saturday, he said, in the spirit of this, I'm going to tell you that I have a date with Summer on Saturday.
Yeah.
And she said, fine. What you doing on Friday?
And he says, nothing, dating you, I guess. So he is not two-timing them because they both are going to be aware of each other.
Open relationship.
But he also has
right
not
now.
made a decision
No
yet.
exclusives.
Yeah. Here's the only problem I have with this.
You don't think it would happen?
Well, no, definitely not. It would not happen. But I don't feel like, and this is nitpicky story stuff, I don't feel like the show did enough to earn Seth's change of heart, right? Throughout the entire episode so far, he was like, I'm the victim. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't need to apologize. And then suddenly he walks up to them and it's just like, hey. And I feel like there was a scene missing here where Seth either like reacts to the secret kept by Luke's dad, or just sees someone else react to a secret in a way that makes him realize that, hey, I finally understand how much I hurt these people, and I finally stop painting myself as a victim, and I actually extend myself and apologize. Like, I just feel like that switch wasn't in the episode. It just kind of happened because the script said, okay, now it's time for Seth to apologize. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to help Luke feel better. And when I say everyone, I mean Marissa and Ryan. So Marissa's actually over at Luke's house already. And then Ryan goes over because they're both trying to cheer him up. I don't know. Anyways, we
miss Kiki and Juju.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, they had a nice, loving talk at the old place.
Well, I mean, what's important here is that, as I alluded to before, that Anna and Summer were friends over hating Seth. Julie and Kirsten are becoming friends over being mad at her father. And we learn that Kirsten does not like Kiki, which neither do I. And so I don't know, Elise, why you keep saying Kiki.
Because I like it.
But apparently he calls Julie Juju.
Kiki Juju.
Like the Juju bees. It's not good.
No, it's not. And that's why they're not together anymore. One of the many reasons.
Yet.
Yes. So, okay, back to Luke, Ryan, and Marissa. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so they would go over to cheer him up, and they're talking together. Then they go to a dugout in order to just kind of like cool off and hang out.
Yeah,
and
his
get
dad,
some good time
Luke's dad
together.
shows up, and he's just like, no, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
He runs off, and they have beer somehow. Aren't they
Fake
16?
IDs. Yes, Scott.
Where are they
fake
getting the
IDs,
beer?
Fake IDs.
Okay, did you just have did you have a fake ID when you were 16?
I did not.
Could you just be hanging out at a dugout drinking beer just like it's no big deal?
No, I did not. I know people who did.
You were a bad girl. I hope your parents listen to this and yell at you.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Thanks. Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
So
they're sorry. Go ahead.
They're bonding, and I mean, Luke is feeling like his whole life has been a lie, right? Like his dad has been lying to him and his family his entire life. And what I like about this, again, that Luke's anger and disappointment in his father is not my dad's gay. His anger and disappointment in his father is
he's been lying to me.
He's been lying to me. He's been lying to me. He's been cheating on my mother. Like our whole the whole structure of our life is a lie. Yeah. And that's like, it could have, like, don't you agree? It like could have been so much worse. There could have been like,
it really could have
there could have been like a bunch of gay panic bullshit in this that was really prevalent in the late 90s and early 2000s. Mm-hmm. The way this handles this is so much better than it could have been. And Ryan is like the perfect person to be here because he's like, look, I know your dad lied to you. I know your dad missed a lot of your sports stuff and was always on these trips that probably were just masking the affairs he was having, the double life he was leading. But at least he made it to some of your games. Take it from a person whose dad didn't even know what sport he was playing. My dad's been in prison, since before I can remember. So
poor Ryan.
And they really bond over that. And then some assholes show up. From some random
from the other rival high school.
What are they doing there?
Water polo.
What are they doing there? Why? It's presumably like a Tuesday night. They're out hanging out in the dugout alone, and 6 dudes from the rival sports team are just there.
Yeah, it's a good thing Marissa needed to go get her sweater right at the perfect time.
Yeah. So these guys come and they start throwing a bunch of homophobic slurs at Ryan and Luke. That's where the one word that I won't say is thrown out here in the show. Again, I think the important framing device here is the show is not supporting this kind of behavior. Like specifically, these guys are being assholes.
Right.
And it's Luke is not fighting back against these guys because he's like being like mad at being called gay. It's because they're using these slurs against gay people, of which his father is one of them.
Yes.
Again, like it is so much, the framing of this stuff is so important, and I'm so happy that the show did it this way.
It was a good episode.
Now I fucking like Luke.
I know.
There's this
it's a
moment
good episode where you feel like you be for his friend.
There's this one moment where one of the dudes says something like he says something about Luke's dad, and the two of them, Ryan and Luke, look at each other, and then they both punch the other guys at the same time, and it's like bonding over punching. And then six
Did
more
you bond
guys
over punching?
No, and then six more guys show up and they bond over getting punched in the face.
But it was not Ryan's fault this time.
No, but that is bing, punch in the face number 4 for Rye Guy.
So while Seth is at home in his safe comfort of his nice mansion where he started the episode, avoiding all physical contact with other people, we see that Julie has come to visit Kiki, Juju and Kiki together again. And Juju brings Kiki a plant because she's so happy that Kiki gave her the best advice ever. And Juju just stood up to Caleb and just told him that he was being selfish, and he ended up agreeing and bought the house.
He listened. And so he goes out and buys Julie's house from Jimmy.
As an investment.
So now everyone's problem is solved. Look at that.
And maybe your dad could be your neighbor one day.
The thing that I love, there's a few things I love about this. First of all, Caleb is not in this episode. He is talked about a lot, but he's not in the episode. And I think it's a little weird that they didn't dramatize any of this conversation between Julie and Caleb, to the extent that I'm convinced that the actor who plays Caleb just was not available this week. And so they just had to write around him.
It's the beginning of Lost.
Yeah.
And he's in Lost. So anytime he's not in an episode, I just say he's in Lost.
Till way later.
Scott, no.
Years later.
He's filming. He's working out the contract deal. He's got things to do. Mm-hmm. He's in Hawaii. Just let him live his life.
But I mean, so the thing that I think there's an interesting part about this, because I don't think it's not spoken, but I think there is some jealousy on Kirsten's point of view, because these are things that she's harbored about her father. Thoughts that she's harbored about her father that she never could tell him. She never felt like she could tell him because she was very convinced that he wouldn't listen. And she's probably right on that. He probably would not have listened if that stuff came from her. But comes from Julie Cooper.
Juju.
And suddenly he's listening to everything she says. He's acquiescing to her demands. He's behaving. And this is a continuation, right? Because the whole he's never spent Thanksgiving with us thing. Yeah. He is behaving around Julie Cooper in a manner which he has never behaved around his family, his daughter. And she doesn't like that too much.
Yeah. She doesn't.
And I think this is going to be an ongoing thread with Juju and Kiki.
So
it feels really weird to say Juju. I feel a little uncomfortable. I feel a little uncomfortable every time I say Juju.
Juju.
I don't like it. So while everyone is reeling from that, Sandy is still kind of giving Kirsten the freeze out. He's saying, Seth, ask your mother who was at the door. He's not talking to her directly, but then suddenly the ass-kicked Ryan and Luke show up at the house, and Ryan gives a good line that says, "It wasn't me this time," because they're carrying Luke in. It wasn't me this time. So Luke is hurt. They call his parents, and Luke's dad shows up. And his dad is really heartbroken, and Luke basically has said he doesn't want to come down. He's basically sleeping. And Sandy and Luke's father have a really great heart-to-heart. Like,
number one dad.
Yeah, he's basically like you got to stick around. You got to be there for your son. You know, coming out and being honest with your family in this town is like the bravest thing you could have done. And so now what you have to do is be there for your kid, and your kid will come around. And
Luke will come around because we realized this week he's a good guy.
Yeah, and Luke does come around because we see him poke his head out at the end of the speech that Sandy gives, where obviously Luke's dad is very distraught, and he says, "Let me go get my stuff. I'll go home with you." Yeah. And so Luke and his father have reconciled, and it's very nice. It's good. It's important because I think yes, lying to your wife, living this other life, not great, but he's found himself. He's being honest with himself, and he's being honest for the first time. And one of the things this episode is saying so much is that is just better. That is honesty.
Honesty is the best policy.
And that's what we see with Sandy and Kirsten next when they reconcile as well. they talk about secrets. I like this line very much because, like, even if we don't have any secrets from each other, there's always things about each other we're not going to know. Like,
That's true.
you can never fully 100% know a person, and that's where trust comes in, right? And that's the point. Like, tell each other the important things, trust that the other people can handle the bad news, but also trust that even though you will never know someone 100%, you have to trust that they're not going to screw you over. That's trust.
They're not going to go and just kiss their best friends from childhood.
Yeah. And
I
that's
am not going to go do that, Scott. Just so you know.
And that's the same thing with Ryan and Marissa as well. Is this idea of they have to trust each other, and they're still not right there.
No.
I mean, they're young, like they're new to relationships. It's a new relationship. Trust takes a while to really be earned, but they're getting there. They're getting there.
And you like how it ends. It comes around full circle from the start of the episode, and we have our three friends: Scott, Marissa, Ryan, and Luke. I mean, not Luke, Seth. Sorry.
Marissa, Ryan, and Seth standing in front of school.
Yes.
And this time, instead of Seth trying to avoid school, it's Luke trying to avoid school.
Ah, yes.
Saying, maybe I'll just bail and everything will blow over for a while.
I thought Luke was there. Luke was
there.
definitely there.
He is
it's just
there.
he didn't say one of the things.
Well, I think this is the show kind of telegraphing that he might become part of that core unit, because it is Summer is the only one not there. It is Seth, Ryan, and Marissa are three musketeers, and now we have Luke, who is like Summer is still Rachel Bilson is still listed as a guest star. The kid that plays Luke is he's in the opening credits. He's on the show. And so this is him kind of joining the group. Like, he's part of this group now.
It's true.
And he's talking about how much this is going to suck and how much, like, maybe he can just wait for it to blow over. And I love the end of this. I'm still the guy from Chino who tried to burn the house down. Marissa says, I'm still the girl who tried to kill herself in Mexico. And what does Seth say, Elise?
I'm still Seth Cohen. And we're still the dailies.
Yeah. I mean, so the message here at the end is you can't avoid it. You've got to confront that. You have to be true to yourself and confront the truth.
Truth
even if people are going to be nasty. And I think that's a great message.
I think so too. Episode 12, The Secret.
Wow, I can't believe they navigated this complex stuff in such a good way in 2003. I guess the past wasn't all bad.
It wasn't. There were some good things that happened.
Yeah.
So, Scott, in the 2000s...
Speaking of the past.
There are some things that happened that we're going to figure out what is so 2000s from this episode.
All right, what do you
We've got three things. First of all, we have that song from the very beginning of the episode that is...
A long time ago.
Yes.
We used to be friends.
Yeah,
but
that one.
Haven't heard from you lately
That one.
at all.
The other one is Yoga Lattes. Yoga Lattes was really big. It was getting to be that trendy workout in the 2000s. And then last, Scott, we have PowerPoint.
Was Yoga Lattes really a trendy workout in the 2000s?
It was.
Yoga Lattes.
It was.
I'm going to vote for Yoga Lattes just because I want to say Yoga Lattes.
Yoga Lattes.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually do PowerPoint.
How is PowerPoint an early 2000s thing?
I mean, PowerPoint was making some big waves in the 2000s, Scott.
I feel like you were excited about PowerPoint in the 2000s, and that's the big waves it was making.
I certainly made some good PowerPoints in my day.
Let me ask you a question. Did
Transition?
You do, yeah.
Yes.
The youngsters.
And
the youngsters version of PowerPoint is slide
transitions
and like letters that zoom in.
Oh, yes.
As a person who works in PowerPoint every single day of my life, let me just give everyone some PowerPoint advice.
Yeah.
Animated slide transitions and flying in text is bad. Don't do it.
Okay.
Simple is better.
Tell that to Elise in the early 2000s, and she would have thought that you were not speaking truth.
Hello, can I speak to early 2000s Elise, please?
No, she doesn't want to talk to you.
Oh, well, tell her. This is creepy. I was gonna tell her I'll see her in a few years. That gets really creepy.
That sound
How
good.
old were you in 2003?
In 2003?
Yeah.
89, 99, 14? 14. Yeah, 14.
Yeah, it's pretty young. I don't feel comfortable talking to 14-year-old. Do you remember that movie Hot Tub Time Machine? Where he goes back in time and sees
I never saw that movie.
a little child version of his wife. Anyway,
Okay.
That's kind of how I felt.
Scott,
just
we
then.
have a really important part of the show that we are getting to next. This is
What
the one
part
where
of the show
we
is
are
that?
reflecting back and seeing all of our different relationships.
It's time for relationship status. Bow, bow, bow.
Okay, Scott, this week we're going to start off with Coop and Ryan. Last week, Coop and Ryan were at a 9 out of 10. A little bump in the road this week as both of them are dealing with some trust issues, but nothing too major. We're just going to deduct 1 point from them this week, Scott. We go from a 9 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. How are Seth and Summer this week?
Well, last week we gave Seth and Summer an 8 out of 10.
That's a pretty good rating.
Summer has forgiven Seth for his trespasses, and they've
kind.
even got a date lined up. But Seth clearly still hasn't made up his mind between Anna and Summer. And I think until Seth Cohen has made up his mind, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put them both at a 5 out of 10 until he makes up his mind. So Summer, 5 out of 10. Anna, 5 out of 10.
You know what, Scott? That seems very fair, but also spoils my relationship update of Seth and Anna last week. They were at a 5 out of 10, same as above. He's no longer two-timing the girls, but there's only going to be so much they can tolerate before he needs to decide which he wants to pursue. 5 out of 10, already spoiled, still the same number.
Still read it all anyway.
How are Sandy and Kirsten doing?
Last week, we gave him a 6 out of 10. The Jimmy secret has finally come out. And while Sandy still hasn't told Kirsten about Rachel putting the moves on, the show is kind of treating it like the secret doesn't need to be revealed.
Interesting.
So I'm kind of feeling pretty good about the Coens at the moment. I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10.
I would be feeling pretty good about them too. Now, Julie Cooper and Caleb Nichol last week were a 6 out of 10. Caleb Nichol is mysteriously absent from this episode, even though he's talked about a whole lot. So all we have to go off of in their relationship comes from Julie Crow Lady Cooper. But it does seem like Julie is able to talk to Caleb in a way that nobody else can. So that's good. 6 out of 10.
You know, I feel like you could have hit the emphasis on some of the funniness that I wrote in there a little bit better if you weren't trying to read as fast as humanly possible and actually had time to digest the thing as you were reading it.
I don't know. What do you think is so funny, Scott?
You just skated right over Julie Crow Lady Cooper, which I thought was excellent. And you just there was no emphasis on any of the syllables.
There's some emphasis, just not on the way you wanted it.
You just read it so fast for no reason.
Oh, there's a reason, Scott.
What's the reason?
Because that's my shtick.
It's a bad reason. It's a bad shtick.
No. Anyway, Scott, what are you predicting is going to happen next week or in the upcoming episodes?
Obviously, we are coming to a head with this Anna and Summer stuff. I think they are going to basically force Seth to make a decision. And knowing my boy Seth Cohen, I think he's going to find a way to fuck it right up.
He does have a tendency to do that, doesn't he?
And we will find out next week in episode 13, the best Chrismica ever.
The Chrismica episodes are my favorite episodes, so I am stoked.
I am excited, and
I love Chrismica.
Nothing better than getting into the Christmas season in mid-November. All right, guys, that is all we have time for you on the episode this week. If you like this podcast, you can check it and all the other shows we do over at our website, doofmedia.com. That's where you'll find our book club, our close reads of web serials, and our analysis and critique of movies and anime. They keep making me watch the anime.
Also, if you want to consider having Scott watch more anime, you might want to go ahead and donate over at our Patreon, patreon.com/doofmedia. As you pick the amount that you want to donate, then you get different prizes, right, Scott? Isn't that how it works?
Prizes?
Yeah, it's a prize. You get rewards.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There are different donation levels, and at each donation level, you get something different. Yes, that's absolutely true.
Can I share my idea?
What's your idea?
The bonus content thing that I said?
Oh, yeah. So at our $10 level,
okay?
we have some bonus content. And Elise had an idea for some bonus content.
I had an idea for mine. So Scott and I are going to have a cereal party once a month, and we're going to watch our way through some cartoons. I haven't decided if it's going to be
cartoon movies or television shows.
I haven't decided if we're going to watch our way through all the Pixar movies or all the Disney princess movies.
So what is the format of this?
It's like our old vow to...
It's audio? We just doing a podcast?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like just a bonus episode that's going to be posted on Patreon?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
That I haven't figured out. But we're going to do a cereal party.
This is your idea.
Should it not be just audio? Should it be something else?
You decided that you were ready to release it to the world, so I assumed that you had a plan.
You can give us some feedback, guys. Audio, would you like commentary as we're watching it?
Like live streamed? That'd be difficult. I don't know if we're allowed
No, not like live streamed with a camera. Just live stream our consciousness of talking.
That's a podcast.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But while we're watching the movie.
So commentary track.
Yeah.
Okay. So
should we do commentary track or just a podcast?
A live comment. I mean, we already do a podcast, so I feel like we need to make. This is not something we should put on the show as workshopping your idea. So let's just wrap up the episode, shall we?
Also, if you happen to be listening via Apple Podcasts, why don't you just go ahead on over there and drop us a rating and a review? That'd be great.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm thinking commentary.
Farewell from the OC, bitches.
Ta-ta.
Commentary?
I'm thinking commentary.
All right. I've never done a commentary track before.
I know. It could be interesting, don't you think?
Yeah.